Carson Wentz, by God, he did it again. 11 touchdowns in his last 3 games, 4 more on Monday Night Football in front of a national audience. It was unbelievable. The Houdini escaped. He did it all. Once again, Brennan Albert is here. I'm Adrian Fenke. Welcome to week 7 of the Bitterbirds film study. It's nice to have you back.
Excited to be back, man. Carson just flat out balled out. Our film study today is pretty much just going to be like, look, Carson's just balling. Sometimes it's as simple as that when you talk about film, but we'll do a good job, guys, at kind of diving into some of the nitty-gritties too.
Yeah, this isn't even Eagles film anymore. It's Carson Wentz film. We talk about him every week, and it's incredible the strides that he's made. You go back and look at the film studies we've done in the first couple weeks, and we were nitpicking Carson Wentz, some of the inaccuracy that he had, but we're not really seeing it anymore, are we?
No, not at all. I mean, I think we talked about, the first big play touchdown he had against the Redskins week 1. The concern both you and I, Adrian, had was that he spun out, kind of carried the bread like, a piece of ball, like a piece of bread. And then all of a sudden now we're seeing him step up into the pocket and letting it rip like he did to Matt Collins this week. I mean, he's getting the same results, but he's not having any type of potential ball insecurities or running backwards. He's doing all the right things. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch him improve week to week to week. And it's very realistic to say he's the best quarterback playing right now in the NFL. It's very realistic to have that argument.
Yeah, it's insanity. He's the MVP of the league. He's Philadelphia's franchise quarterback. It's so nice to have someone like this. I am just ecstatic to have him in town. So the first play we're going to get into, late in the first half, the pass to Zach Ertz. So you basically had a game here where the Eagles came out flat. They were down 10-3. They were outplayed for a quarter and a half. And then Carson Wentz unleashes this deep ball to Matt Collins for 64-yard touchdown. And then on the next series, the Eagles go down and they score again. And that drive was highlighted by the 46-yard reception by Zach Ertz that we're going to get into right now. So it's 10-10 at this point, and the Eagles get the ball back right after they just scored. I mean, I was so impressed by how they just closed this half out. 10-3, all of a sudden you put up 2 touchdowns, and you're leading at the break.
Without a question, Adrian, and I've always said it, that you get a good sense for teams with a killer instinct. How do they close the second, and how do they start the third quarter? In the third quarter specifically, guys, I think that's really where you can judge how good your coaching staff is, because they have 15 minutes at halftime to make adjustments, and if you can come out and step on the throat right away, it was awesome. So, yeah, Adrian, let's go to this clip here.
Yeah, let's get into it. And, we're going to get into a throw on the opening drive of the third quarter because the Eagles went down. They scored again. My God. 3 touchdowns in 3 drives. Unbelievable. So let's get into this play right here. I'll let you go into it.
Yeah, so we're going to see here, DJ Swearinger is safety here for the Redskins. They picked on him a lot. And DJ Swearinger, he's a true strong safety. He wants to be in the box, and he wants to be physical. So we see him dropping down into the box. Yep, right there. Thank you, Adrian. And honestly, the Redskins are another team very similar to Carolina. They struggle at safety. They are not a very good safety tandem in the NFL. So when we watch this play here by Carson, keep an eye here on this strong safety here. Age, you can play this full speed. You're going to see this strong safety, for some reason, buzzes down on Alshon, and that just opens up this throwing window for Carson to say, okay, well, then I'm just going to put the ball over the corner's head. So I really don't understand what coverage this could have been for Washington. I think it's just a complete bust in coverage. Now, when you look at this play, let's watch Brooks here. He gets a nice chip, and then he comes back to help Kelsey.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the small things. The pass protection was unbelievable. Everyone's going to talk about, man, Carson's throwing the ball so much better down the field. Yeah, but the pocket's unbelievable too.
Yes.
That little chip there by Brooks just to ensure that that end has to go outside and get lane one-on-one. Now Brooks can come back over the middle and help Kelsey. It's just a fantastic job there by the pocket, making sure. And I talked about it in other shows, and Adrian, you agree with me. The prettiest thing in the world is when Carson can throw the ball and take the mouthpiece out because he knows there's no threat for him to get hit.
And you'll see it right here. Just beautifully formed pocket. I mean, he's got several seconds back there to scan the field. No happy feet needed. And that's the big difference, too, from week 1 and now. Even the pass protection. The run blocking has obviously gotten a lot better.
And check out Smallwood here, too. Smallwood does a great job picking up Swearinger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just awesome pocket protection. Carson's obviously going to be much more accurate when he can step into throws and has no concern around him.
And that's nice to see from Smallwood because the Eagles' backs have been struggling with protection-wise with blitzers coming out into the backfield. So, all right, so next play we're going to get into, 11:55 mark of the third quarter, the opening drive of the third quarter where the Eagles took a 24-10 advantage, and another bullet to Zach Ertz. By God, Zach Ertz emerging finally in his fourth season. Jeez, it took him forever. But here we go.
Talked about this. Third quarter, how good is your coaching staff? Can you step on the throat? I mean, look at this. We're driving the ball down the field like it's no problem here.
Yeah. You want to just play this?
Yeah, we can play this again. Very similar conversation as the last time. Let's look at the pocket here. The running back here is just going to do a fantastic job cleaning up the pocket. We're in another slide man protection, meaning the offensive line is going to slide left, and then we're going to be manned on the right side, which means we'll have the back one-on-one with the incoming blitzing linebacker. And they do a great job, again, holding it up. Carson does a good job of putting this ball, and more importantly, Ertz does a fantastic job at positioning his body in front of Swearinger so that DJ has no way that he can get this ball. And then Ertz just, out-rebounds him for the football here.
Yep. And then also positions himself before that safety could kind of come over the top too.
Absolutely. Does a nice job. I would call this making sure that we are on top of the defensive back. Another word we call it stacking. Mm-hmm. So you see him stem. Now right now he's going to stack him, and as you kind of see, he's going to do a good job at making sure that his feet are in front of DJ Swearinger's. So DJ can't even undercut it here.
And he gets down before that safety could come over and lay the lumber,
It's a business decision right there, man. Why take the hit? Get down there, man. No worries. Get the ball, first and goal on the 4. Let's keep moving.
All right, so that's the second play. All right, we've got 4 of them. The next one is the one where everybody thought he was sacked, and he escaped live on the Monday Night Football telecast. Sean McDermott didn't know where he went. Merrill Reese didn't know where he went. He called him Houdini. It was an unbelievable play for Wentz to get out of this mess. Everybody thought he was sacked. It's incredible because you just see this huge just circle of bodies, and then Wentz just comes out of the damn thing. Unbelievable. Yeah.
And I think my favorite thing about not only playing, primetime games, but I get national television, but when you get Gruden on calls, I mean, he does such an awesome job.
Yeah.
So, he was just – when you're exciting John Gruden, that's pretty freaking cool, if you ask me.
He's lauding Carson Wentz, and he's playing his brother. Think about that.
Yeah, that's a great summary right there, Adrian.
Think about that.
So
he's all over Ginger Jesus, and his brother's coaching the other team. All right, go ahead, Brendan.
No, I mean, we saw this all game. And if you notice it, guys, the clips that we're pulling out, you're going to see every single time it's going to put a back in protection. The Redskins said, we are going to come at you, and we are going to dare you to pick up the protection. And the Eagles did. And that's why Carson was able to put 4 tutties on him, because he had great protection here. Here's going to be another example of exactly that.
Yep.
I mean, look at the front here. There's nothing sugarcoating it. There's no disguise here what Washington's doing. We are sending the house. So when you do things like that, you better get home, because you're susceptible to 2 things. One, the vertical game, because if you can protect it, you're one-on-one, and I still think the hardest thing to do in football is play man coverage. Mm. So the first thing you're susceptible to is vertical ball. That's what happened with Mac Hollins' big touchdown. Or 2, quarterback scrambles, because we're playing man coverage, all of those defensive backs, their vision is snapping and turning to the receiver. You're not going to have any linebackers there. So with these type of situations, Carson was able to throw big touchdowns, big completions to Zach Ertz, and now we're able to see him say, okay, there's open field in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and take off and take this. Now, the end zone view is going to do a little better job of showing a little bit of a concern here. There are 2 guys who really kind of fault this play into giving us not a clean pocket. The first one is going to be – the obvious one is going to be our back. So I talked about earlier how majority of the game, the backs did really well. When we see the end zone view here, guys, you're going to see here that I believe it's Smallwood gets pushed right back into Carson's lap. And as you watch it, you're going to be able to see that Smallwood's feet stop on impact, which allows him to just get dominoed right back. The other one here is going to be Big V. Big V does not do a great job at keeping his shoulders square. You're going to see him start to turn his shoulders, and when he turns his shoulders, that's going to allow the outside rush. Now, the only reason that Big V didn't give up a sack was because Wiz is going to pancake this defensive tackle right into the pass or the rushing lane of the defensive end. So we see there Smallwood's getting pushed back. We see here that Wiz gets the domino effect. If it wasn't for Wiz being able to get that pancake block there, Carson's going to get sacked here. So Wiz saves this play by getting a 2-for-1 opportunity, and then Carson says, I'm getting out of here. I'm just going to go and get free yards and keep moving.
Man, I hate that this lags. Okay, here we go. Check out Jason Kelsey tucking on Wentz's jersey and pulling him out of the pile. Check this out. Right here.
Go, little man. Get out of there.
There it is.
And we see great blocking there by the right side. I mean, Brooks and Johnson, awesome. Left side, just a pile, not good blocking. Good blocking, bad blocking. I mean, it's like the clearest example of it.
You know, it's funny, too, because Big V actually, I thought, played pretty well once Jason Peters went down. This was an instance, though, where he did get beat. And, you know, I'll ask you the question, you know, Big V replacing Jason Peters now. I think people in Philly are kind of taking for granted what Jason Peters kind of provided for the Eagles. I mean, you're not just going to be able to just plug Big V in and expect the same production. That's just ridiculous. Maybe he can be an average pass blocker. He's no way going to be able to provide what Peters does in the running game, the way you can combo block and get on the second level. I don't think Big V can do that. So I'll ask you the question, man, like, how big of a difference is it to go from Peters to Big V? I mean, I know it's a stupid question on the surface, but, I mean, there really is a drop-off here. It's significant.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, if there was the big drop-off, they would have replaced Big V with Peters a while ago, because Peters is not exactly the youngest guy in the world. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, there's a big drop-off here. Personally, for me, and just hear me out here, guys, I think the Eagles are the team who is in the most dire need to make a trade of any team in the NFL right now. And the reason I say that is because you have never been this close to being the odds-on favorite to win the NFC and potentially win the Super Bowl. Yes. You probably never have been in this spot. Don't mess around. Go ahead and make a trade. So I really like Joe Staley. I think that would be a team that would make a ton of sense there in the Niners. Yes, I know Staley's an older guy, but you know what? You probably can get him for a 5th-round pick, maybe a 4th-round pick. Niners obviously are a team who's not really looking to win right now. I think that would make a ton of sense. I just think you have to go out and get a tackle here, especially if we know Carson wants to keep pushing the ball down the field. That's great. You know what you need? Pass protection, and that left tackle is the staple hold of pass protection. Yeah. I know people have said, hey, move Lane Johnson to left tackle. Okay, I guess you can, but then you're still going to have a problem at right tackle. So I would say, why not go out and try to get Joe Staley or Brown there from the Texans?
I've been saying that all week. Joe Staley is the guy that I want. And, yeah. You know, I think, see, what's going to happen is this. Big V is probably going to play well against the Niners. Probably. Maybe not, but probably. And I think everyone's just going to start, you know, with the Kool-Aid drinking. Oh, Big V is going to be fine. The difference between Big V and getting a Joe Staley is when it comes to playoff times, and you're going to have to face the elite of the elite in terms of the edge rushers. I mean, the Eagles are about to face Von Miller in 2 weeks. You don't think that they're going to match him up against Big V? Like, that's what I'm afraid about. It's not going against teams like the Niners and facing average edge rushers. It's when you go against the elite of the elite and playoff time. I mean, Seattle, by God, they're going to be throwing everything at Big V. So that's what I'm worried about, and that's why I want to bring Joe Staley in. The thing with Staley is, because I've been looking into this, he said yesterday that he wants to stay in San Francisco, which sucks. I don't know if the Niners would take that seriously or not, but, I mean, you are looking at an older guy there who probably has a family. I mean, that you always have to take that into consideration. And the other thing, too, is the Niners have a young quarterback, and they're going to draft the young quarterback, so maybe they want to keep Joe Staley around.
That's very possible, Adrian. I can't argue with that. I mean, that's in theory why the Browns have kept Thomas there as long as they have,
Yeah.
because that's in theory what they've been doing. So I hear all of that, but at the same time, the only times you really hear players who say I want to trade is usually well past the point where there's damage. Like there's probably so much damage done. You don't really see a lot of players, saying, oh yeah, I'm open to it. No, you're either, no, I want to stay here, or I'm willing to go. So I think Staley makes the most sense for a trade partner. I think he would probably cost the Niners the least amount, or cost the Eagles the least amount. Because remember, you don't have a ton of picks this year. Yeah. So, the idea of going out and getting Cordy Glenn from the Bills, that's just not realistic, because you don't have the ammo of draft picks to go out and get them, and more likely than not. And then Juwan Brown is the other one who's been rumored, but the Texans, the problem you have there is he's going to want a new contract. I mean, he just held out from the Texans. So, yeah, maybe he comes in, he plays for the Eagles this year. But if Peters misses some time next season, which is possible with a complete ACL and MCL, then Brown holds out. Now you're right back, to square one, and you lost a draft pick. Either way, my point is, I'm with you, Adrian, 100%. I think trying to make a trade for Joe Staley makes a ton of sense. If it doesn't work, so be it. But I think you got to at least entertain the call more than any team in the NFL. You got to be aggressive trade deadline.
Yeah, and before we kind of get into our next play here, talking about those other tackle candidates that you brought up, I looked into the salary cap situation. Joe Staley, $7.75 million cap hit the next 2
Very
years.
affordable.
That's like nothing.
Yes.
For a tackle. So Dwayne Brown, Cordy Glenn, you look at those guys, they're like you're looking at the $10, $11 million mark. So Cordy Glenn is already going to get that, and Dwayne Brown's asking for a contract. And the thing with him too is he hasn't played football this year. So you're going to be asking him to come in here, get into game shape, and just thrust him out there. I don't know if that's going to work necessarily. So
learn new offense, etc. Yeah, there's a lot of change there. I agree with you 100%, Adrian.
All right, so that's one major injury. The other major injury from Monday night's game is Jordan Hicks. Well, was Jordan Hicks. Ruptured his Achilles. He's out for the season as well. And we're going to get into two plays here where the Eagles, they missed their Simba. They missed their guy, Jordan Hicks, especially on this play here. So you're going to get into it here. Najee good, not good in zone coverage.
No bueno. No bueno here. I mean, these two clips are going to be good examples of where you're really going to miss Jordan Hicks. I think we'll be okay still stopping the run, but the pass is going to be trouble. Yeah. Now, this play here, you really only – so we have two receivers right, two tight ends left. So you have to know pre-snap, okay, I'm not getting out to one, I'm not getting out to two. My threats are going to be the tight ends. So it's play action here, and you get a tight end running right down the middle. First off, golden rule number one when it comes to tight ends, they can never get a free release. In the first 5 yards, someone has to get a hand on them. You just can't give them a free release, because if you give them a free release, that gives them more time and more speed to get on top of the safeties, and they're going to be more physical than the safeties. It's going to mess up the timing if you reroute them. So as a linebacker here, if you get a tight end coming at you, you got to at least reroute them. I mean, you at least got to get your hands on them. That's like high school rules right there. And then when we rewatch this play here, I have no clue why he thinks he needs to run out and take the running back. Because as you'll see here, he has help there. Unless this running back is Marshall Faulk or Barry Sanders, there is no reason for him to –
This is probably a good angle, right?
This is going to be a great angle of it. I mean, look, I understand the first step for a linebacker is always forward, play action or not. First step is always forward. That's what they're taught, and that's fine. He doesn't do anything wrong there. But at least have the wherewithal, man. Hey, I have a tight end running right at me. I probably want to reroute him. Or why am I going to run 13 yards out of the way to expand and give Kirk Cousins, a good quarterback, a throwing window? Like, you got to get your hand on him right there, dude.
Yeah, that's Joe Walker. Yeah. And then Najee Good is just kind of standing there.
Yeah. Not good. I mean, both guys there, not good situations there by Walker and Good. Neither one of them did a great job there. It's both issues.
Yeah, and clearly my Eagles logo didn't like the play either, because it just fell off my wall.
It's out.
Done. So this is where I'm worried for the Eagles. Zone coverage, and like you said, I think they'll still be able to stop the run. They'll still be able to tackle. But, I mean, you're going to have Good and Walker in there a lot now. Now, I will say this too. They're going to play nickel a lot. Yeah. They're in nickel like 60% of the time. So you're looking at Bradham and maybe Kendricks getting a majority of the snaps, and maybe you can kind of hide Good and Walker. But when they are out on the field, this is what you're going to have to worry about. Tight ends going over the middle, stuff like this. So
without a question. And you think about, again, the Eagles, we're at that point now where we can start to think about playoffs. I mean, when you're going to get matchups with guys like Jimmy Graham, and then in your division, you still have Jason Witten, who's still, a solid tight end. Evan Ingram is going to get a ton of targets because no one else is going to get targets there in New York. Hooper's pretty darn good of a target. Greg Olson's going to come back. I mean, there's a lot of tight end threats that potentially are going to be matched up with you in Philadelphia. So you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah. Next play here, Chris Thompson scores from 7 yards out. And this was a play against Carolina where Bradham actually made a tackle on McCaffrey before he came before he was able to cross the goal line. So that was a great play by Bradham, but you can see the difference here. Again, you replace a guy like Jordan Hicks. Now you're going to see miscommunication with the linebackers. And this is something that, maybe you can answer this question. All right, so now since Jordan Hicks is out, because he's the one that gets all the plays into his headset, and he's the one that lines up everybody. So losing a guy like that, what does that mean for your team? Now you're looking at maybe Nigel Bradham doing all that stuff. Does it make a difference there?
I mean, it does and it doesn't, because Nigel is so freaking good. I still think he's probably the most underrated linebacker in the NFL. So It's not like, you lost your best linebacker on your team. I think Nigel is superior compared to Hicks, personally. That's just me.
But he's been better this year.
This year, yeah. That's what I'm speaking about. This year, I think he's playing way better than Hicks.
I agree.
So as far as that's the good news. The bad news is Hicks, also, since he plays more of the true middle, he can control the front more and control the coverage, while Nigel plays more on the outside. He doesn't necessarily have the best angles for shading.
Well, that's what I was about to ask, because he's got a better depth perception and better perspective from where he's lined up.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that is an issue here. Now, this clip here, guys, and I encourage you, if you didn't watch us, go back and watch our Carolina recap, because there's a clipping in there that's identical to what we're going to see here. I talked about it in the last one, but also here. There's really two types of coverages you can run when you get in the goal line. You either run your man coverage, which is what they ran last week when the Eagles want to run a lot of. And if you run man, the key thing you need to know is defensive coverage players, linebacker, safeties, corners have to be on different levels, because if they line up on the same level and we get crossing patterns, which is incredibly common, we're going to run right into each other every single time. That's when we watch that Carolina clip. If you watch, Nigel is screaming at the safeties and the corners to flip their levels. And because of that, that allows Nigel to get a straight line and able to make the tackle on McCaffrey. Look at it here. We can pretty much see here that Malcolm Jenkins, and I believe that's Jalen Mills there in the slot, are pretty much lined up exactly on the same level.
Yep.
Now, while they're not necessarily going to cross into each other, what this is going to have a problem for is a linebacker now. He's not going to have a clear running angle. So that's one option. If you play a lot of man defense, you got to be on different levels pre-snap. And that's something that I'm worried about, because Nigel's great about communication there. Hicks was pretty good. You're now bringing in a guy who hasn't played a lot of this. That's a big minus. The other option you can play is we call it tango, or a lot of zone-based teams will run this. The Bucs will do this sometimes with Tampa too. And this will just be, if one goes in, we switch. Linebacker, you take the in. Corner, you take the out. This is my expectation of what the Eagles might train to do more of moving forward. But I also understand if Jim Schwartz says, look, we've done all offseason. My defense says we play man defense in the goal line. That's fine too. But you got to get in different levels here. So, Adrian, you can play this full speed. Just look at how difficult and how much trash linebackers are going to have to run through if we're not on the same level here by the corners and safeties.
Yeah. By the way, I think that's Patrick Robinson.
Patrick Robinson. Okay.
You know how the commenters will get sometimes. They like to get all technical. So.
I saw the one, wasn't sure.
Yeah. It's all good. All right, so we'll play it slow.
Okay. Still pretty much on very similar, right there, same levels.
Yep.
This is going to be a problem if you do this. Now, fortunately, they're all running ins, which tells us if someone runs in, someone's running it out. So the back's running it out. Now, this is just poor vision, too, here by our linebacker. I mean, he's got to have an idea of what he's supposed to be doing. I have no clue if in his mind he's thinking, oh, we're just going to run a zone coverage here. So all I need to do is physically stand here and wait for a receiver to run in front of me, and the corner takes the out. or if he just is that lost and naive. It's one or the other. Either way, it's a big problem here, and it's not something that's a good look.
This was not good at all.
No.
Excuse the pun.
And the other thing, too, is this is, I think right now, he's the leading receiving back in the NFL, if not it's him and McCaffrey. So just know your personnel, man. I mean, if this is Samaje Perine, okay, or this is Fat Rob Kelly, okay, we know these guys are more likely to run the rock and play action. I won't bite as heavy, but you got to know personnel. This is one of the best receivers out of the backfield in the NFL.
I mean, you got to see, like, guys are crossing. That's open up the huge vacancy there on the left side of the field. You got to recognize that and just follow your instincts, follow your eyes, and just dart. And he didn't do that.
Not a question. I mean, look, besides a Hail Mary, offenses aren't going to put 4 receivers in the same 5 yards of space. So if 3 receivers are going in, the back or the tight end is going to come out. You just got to be aware of that, man. That's just, again, that's high school stuff right there.
So there we go. Those are our 6 plays from Monday night's game. We'll do a film study after the 49ers game. We'll see. Maybe that game we'll kind of take a look at Big V and see how he kind of fares, and we can get into his techniques and break him down a little bit. We'll see. Maybe I can find some good footage of him. Carson Wentz, I'm sure, is going to throw like 5 more touchdowns, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So, what you got on your mind? Any final thoughts before we head out?
That's it, man. I mean, I think the Birds are looking really good. I like I said earlier, I would really like them to make a trade for Joe Staley and said, hey, why don't you just spend a little more time on our sideline this weekend instead of next weekend being on the other team? You can just stay and hang out with us. That's my biggest thing for the Eagles. Make a trade for a left tackle. If you can get a linebacker, great. You're probably not going to because you're not always, as much in the demand market. But if you can get a left tackle, go and trade and do it. No doubt in my mind.
Absolutely. I'm 100% agreeing with you. The narrative has changed. You're not in this, because before the season it was, all right, we'll be happy if we make it to the playoffs. Maybe they go 9-7. If you're in that kind of mindset, no, you don't trade for a tackle. But in this situation where you're ready to win it all, I mean, you remember what I said. The teams that are contenders are the ones that should be making big free agent moves, big trades. If you're ready to win it right now, you go and make your move. You go and make your splash. And it is not realistic to think that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC because the NFC stinks. I don't think it's very good this year. So you got a shot here. You got it. You got to seize the opportunity. You got to go make something happen. I agree.
Without a question.
Yeah. So with that being said, that's Brendan Albert. I am Adrian Fecue. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our latest installment. We'll be back next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.